Today I'm going to review and bench test a Nakamichi LX-5 cassette deck. I know this cassette deck pretty well because it's mine and I've owned it for several years. About 5 years ago I installed new belts along with the new idler tire, and also I changed out the electrolytic capacitors in the power supply. Later on in the video, I'm going to bring the, after bench testing, I'm going to put the LX-5 into my main system and put it head to head with a Nakamichi Dragon as well as a Sony EL-7 Elcaset deck. So I'm very interested in how that's going to work out, and so I'm about ready to start it, and we're going to start on the test bench. Well, first we're going to test the frequency response of this Nakamichi LX-5 with a Sony 90-minute Type 1 cassette. Let's come back down here and see what we got. We can move the cursor here. There's a little cursor button I can move up and down. And let's see. We're more interested up here at the upper end. So, because that's what the bias adjustment's going to affect the most, is the upper frequencies. But this isn't too bad. You know, this is 17, 20. Jeez, I don't know if we've got to do much of anything, or I'm not going to do much of anything with that. You know, you're out here at 22,000 hertz, and you're not even 3 dB down. Alright, now I'll be using a TDK SA90 Type 2 cassette for the next test. Again, we're more worried about way up here, you know, the upper frequencies. And there's, you know, we're at if you look, you know, again, down there on the right is the frequency that we're looking at. You know, we go back this way and there's 10 kilohertz, and both channels, the L, you know, is for the left channel, the R is for the right, and 0.1 dB, minus 0.1 dB, and minus 0.4 dB at 10. So that's pretty good. Up here at 15 we're minus 1.6 and minus 2.0. 17 and a half, still doing well, right? I mean, 18 and a half, we're down 3 dB on the right channel, but still pretty good. And 20, you know, 3.3 dB on the right, 1.9 on the left, that's still pretty darn good. 21, just a little over 3, both channels. Then you start getting a little wider here at 22, but I think I'm going to leave that alone too. Alright, now we're going to use a Fuji Type 4 metal tape next and see what we got. So again, kind of more interested up here at the top for bias, and you know, again, we're up at 14,000, 15,000, there's 17.5, there's 20, and it's only a dB, 1.3 dB down. 21, you know, again, 1.5, 2.3, 22, 2.4, 2.7, and then you get up to 24 even, and it's a little over 4. So I think, again, that's pretty darn good. And I think, you know, all three of those will leave the manual bias, you know, switch right there in normal, what they call normal. So I think all three of them, the Type 1, the Type 2, the Type 4, are set up well for this LX-5 as it came from the factory. Just that bias control is nice to have, but if you don't need to use it, you don't use it. On all the way from the top frequencies all the way down to 20 hertz. So we're sitting at 20 hertz. Again, down there in the right, this is where the cursor's at, that thing I moved, and the little switch I moved, 27, 30, and you can see, again, the channels are are very close, and you can see this looks pretty darn flat, right? I mean, just kind of looking at it, and again, these are 10 dB divisions, so we're not off by too far, and we won't look at every single frequency, right? And just click it up here a little ways. Where's that? 200 or something? Yeah, 210, and the two channels are within 0.2 of a dB. I'll just get up to 1,000 or so, and again, they're very, very close to each other. Bench testing is one thing, but how does this LX-5 stack up against some other elite decks that I have? I have a Sony EL-7 that I've put into the system, an Elcaset deck. It's a tremendous performer. If you've never heard one, it's as good as a reel-to-reel. A Nakamichi Dragon that I have also, I'm going to put him in the system, and along with that is going to be the LX-5. And all three of these units I've rebuilt. They've all been bench tested, and bench testing is great. But you know, now it's time to put them into a system and see what they sound like. And specifically, what does this LX-5, how's it stack up against two elite decks? And that's what I'm about to find out. And what I found out was I wouldn't want, I recorded the same material on all three and played it back. I'm telling you, I mean, they're my decks. I worked on them, and I know them quite well, and I know the music quite well. And I'm telling you, I would not want to try to pick which of the three are playing. So I think the Nakamichi LX-5 is a wonderful value out there right now in vintage equipment, vintage tape decks. You know, one will run you $200 to $300. Now that's probably not going to be one that's operating properly. You're going to have to get a belt kit for it, $25–30, and do it yourself, or have somebody do it, and that's going to cost you a couple $100 if you have somebody else do it. But once that's done, that LX-5 can compete with both the Sony EL-7 Elcaset and a Nakamichi Dragon in a head-to-head. So I think it's just a great value right now, and something, if you can find it, boy, grab one, because they're a great cassette deck.